on this computer. So I am
I'll be right back.
okay. So I am super excited, and Joann, I want to acknowledge that you kind of stepped in today. So thank you for doing that on a short notice. And so we're going to get to the all Joann soon, but of course I want to start by giving kind of a quick social media digital marketing tip for anybody who might be watching this webinar. And from now for the next probably week or two, I am completely focused on making use of your referral list, the people who know you, who love you, who just need a reminder. It is so busy right now. I don't know about you guys, but I probably get like 30 emails like an hour into my inbox. And so it's really hard to show up. And so subject line is important, and make sure that your from is clearly who you are. Sometimes I get like from info, and it's just info, or it's from test or something like that. So I'm going to give you that quick sample. But here I want to give you 4 things. If you've been on my webinar already, you already have these tips. And if you are not, you can... I will be running the webinar again next week. Can you guys see the snowman and the happy kid? Is that what you guys see? Okay, so the free webinar is next week, December 6th, 10 o'clock in the morning. And you can go onto my website or my Facebook page for the link for that. And here's just 4 quick ideas that you can do in the next week in order to just kind of drum up some more engagement and client building, client base over the next couple weeks, when people are really looking for the best deal, or they're looking to support local, which is kind of the people that I really love to deal with, are the people who are looking to support local and they want to support you. So quickly, 4 things. One is offer a coupon. And I'm not one who always advocates giving a discount, but I do advocate giving a little bit more of your goodies. So you can consider that. You might want to give 20% off, 10% off. That's a nice incentive, but a buy one, get one free, or a buy one, get one half off, or, or an extra half hour of my services. I like that a little better, because now you're giving more of the good stuff. Plan an event, so that you could probably do that quickly. I'm having everything on Saturday is, again, I just said don't give a discount, but you could give a discount, or bring a friend, get everything on Saturday, online only. Run a contest, or add value, as we were talking about. I'm going to take this link, and I'm going to put it into our chat, and I'm also going to post it when I publish this video, so that you guys can get both. This is a download with live links. So each of these are live links to more information. And then there's another link here too with even more ideas. So with that, coming back, and I'm just so excited that you're here, Joann. I want to give Joann a quick introduction and then get to the good stuff. I have to just move my screen a little bit. Move you guys over here. All right. So if you guys if people listening don't already know Joann, I've known her for a number of years, and she just gets stuff done. She'll talk a little bit about how she's kind of, maybe you'll talk about this, how you've morphed your business into being even more effective by creating so many systems and being online. But anyway, here's the official bio. Joann is a professional organizer who supports and guides entrepreneurs to get them organized in their home, their business, and life, so they can have more productivity, peace, and prosperity. She's been in business 12 years, with the past 2 being all online via programs and coaching. Joann's superpower is empathy, which I would love to hear more about. And the topic today is simplify, let go of perfectionism, and find systems that work for you. So Joann, I'm going to kind of just let you riff on what it is that you do, and we'll jump in with questions if we have them.
Okay. You want me to go right into what I was going to talk about?
Sure. Or you could tell us
Okay.
first about your superpower.
My superpower is definitely empathy. I feel like that was the key. So I've always been organized. I've always had that analytical side to me, but it wasn't until I tried out becoming a professional organizer. I did some free clients in the beginning that I realized that empathy is really probably the biggest piece of it all, because you really have to set aside your own judgments and thoughts about anything to be able to help people move forward the way that they need to move forward.
Gotcha.
So yeah, that was, to me, I feel like having that ability to be able to find what works for somebody else as opposed to what will work for me was a big key. And I think that empathy is a huge part of that. You just have to kind of put yourself in that person's position and see where they're coming from.
I like that a lot. I'm actually going to give that some thought in the work that I do as well, because people come to me similarly, right? Like, I don't even know what to do first.
Mm-hmm.
And if you can say, oh, it's, instead of saying, oh, it's so easy. Like, I know sometimes I'm like, oh, you just
Yeah.
upload your list. And I look at their face and I have to see where they're coming from to say, you know what? I'll step you through it.
Yeah.
Make it easy. So yay for that.
Exactly. Because I know a lot of people, I'll see comments on any threads in Facebook and people are like, it's just easy, just throw it away. I don't understand why you have to pay somebody to help you do that. I'm like, well,
Yeah.
it's not that easy for some people.
Yeah,
Sure.
awesome. So tell us about simplifying and finding systems, especially as it applies to our business. Many people that
Yeah.
listen to these videos or engage in the Rise Above the Noise Facebook group are solopreneurs, and they're
Hmm.
just trying to get it done.
Yeah.
Yeah, what would you say?
Right.
How will we do that?
So these three principles, I apply these to everything, but in applying them to business is the same. So simplifying is simply purging, reducing everything, and that's common. We know this. We know that we need to have less in order to be able to focus and function. The big thing for me, though, is when you're simplifying and when you're purging and when you're letting go of things, you really can't think about the systems that are coming up. That really should be its own piece. 100% getting rid of as much as you possibly can. And so applying to business, if you work from home, certainly the clutter in your home, but also a big one for business owners is ideas in their head. They see an idea and they're like, I want to go with it. And they write it down and they collect it. And then they have a whole stack of things that they want to do and they don't remember. And they're looking back and they have notebooks and just upon all of it. So for that, it's really about taking inventory. I always say, do a brain dump of everything that you need to do. And if you're a business owner and you're working from home, or it doesn't matter where you work, dump everything out of your brain. Don't be thinking, oh, I have to do this for business from home. Just literally whatever comes to mind, just, throw it all out on paper. And that is the time when you'll see, ooh, there's a big spider on my wall.
Oh, would you like to?
Spider. I'm gonna stop my video because you're about to see my belly.
I'm gonna pause.
Now you all know I'm a spider killer, which I'm typically not. I typically would gather it, but that was huge.
Oh my God. What color was it?
Black and
Oh.
furry.
Oh.
It was like a mini tarantula, and I'm gonna stare at it now. Okay.
That gives a whole new meaning to like squirrel. As you were talking about ideas, I was like, oh yeah, squirrel. And then you're like,
I think that came out. Oh, I'm like flush now. I don't like spiders. I can deal with anything but spiders. Although that said, I could, if it was little, I could have captured it, whatever. So getting really letting go. So now also with businesses, sometimes we hold on to too much paper that we don't need. So, always have those conversations with your accountant and your lawyer as to what you truly need to keep for your business. Some people keep so many receipts that they never end up using or or because they can't find them, or B, because they're just not good write-offs. So it's really about, knowing what you really should be holding on to so that you're not just gathering. And thinking about systems ahead of time is really what slows people down in this whole process, because they start to think about letting go. So say we're dealing with ideas, have a whole list of all the ideas that you have that you want to do, and really be honest with yourself and look at them and say, I'm definitely going to pick a couple that that you're going to do, and file the rest away if you can't let go of them. Or if you know that, what, I'm never going to do that. I've written that down. Maybe I've done this myself. I've written that idea down 10 times and I've never implemented it. It's time to just let it go, because I believe that if it's meant to be, it comes back around, right? I've wrote something down 10 times and never done it. So to me, it's just not meant to be.
Gotcha.
Okay. So then letting go of perfectionism kind of leads into that. So that's letting go of perfectionism is a piece of having to not think about what's going to happen with things. Excuse me. Sorry. And now I'm going to choke. This is just hysterical. Spiders and choking.
Keeping it real here, ladies.
Oh my goodness. So that's a hard one for people. But I just keep saying, if you start wondering about where things are going to go or how things are going to be implemented, just stop yourself and say, nope, I'm just getting my list or my physical stuff, my mental clutter, all down to a minimum first, before you think of anything. And also letting go of perfectionism. A big one for people is, a lot of people like to do things all at once. So, they can't look at a room and say, I can't chip away at that. I need to get in there and tackle it all at once. But what happens is they never do it.
Yeah.
So even though chipping away may seem counterintuitive to what you want to do, it can really be helpful. So as you're letting go of things, just tackle a few things each day. And it really does add up. I mean, it people don't believe it, but I'm like, it does, especially if you're just focusing on letting go. You're not looking at that room and going, but I need to figure out where to put this and put that. So, or if you're looking at, a list of things for your business or a pile of papers for your business, just chip away at it and just make a pile of keep and toss, whether it's recycle or shred.
Yeah.
And then also putting function before beauty. A lot of people come to me and they're like, oh, I don't like the way my office is functional. It is not beautiful. You can tell from behind me. The key thing is, and not that I don't think beauty is a good thing, because people, can definitely aspire to get to that, but you want to have a system in place before you even think about getting all the pretty file boxes or the filing cabinets or whatever it is. Because that leads me into systems.
Yes.
Which, this is a big one. I have a quiz that kind of tells you the type of person you are. In my mind, you either like to pile things, you like to stash things, you like to avoid everything, or you're really good at purging and getting rid of stuff, and you have bare minimum. I'm a piler, because anything that's out of sight is out of mind for me. Yeah. So if someone was to come in and try and organize me and say, okay, you're going to have a file in your drawer that says to do, it would never get done because it's in that drawer. Yep. But I love filing systems at the same time. Like, I have all of my stuff filed, but anything that I'm working on is out. Now, some people don't even like filing systems. They like them, but they don't use them. So for that person, because they're like the stashing type of person, a box that's really clearly labeled may be a better option, or a couple of boxes, business, personal, whatever makes sense to you. So it's really looking at your space and saying, what do I typically do? Like when my paper comes in, do I typically file it right away, or do I have it set aside to file and I eventually file it, or do I never file it? Those type of things you really want to analyze, because you don't want to change your ways just like that.
Yeah.
Because then it just sets us up for failure. We're not, if I went in and created a beautiful filing system for somebody who doesn't like to file, it's completely useless. And also, when it comes to like digital stuff, everybody says, oh, I want everything digitally. I want it all digitally. And, you know, that's great, but that's a whole nother, they don't realize that's a whole nother animal of, you still have to organize it. You have to make sure you back it up. You got to make sure that you're consistent with your backups and that you know, where you're putting it. Because people are notorious for, well, I'm going to back this up here and this up here. And, you know, and it can get crazy. So digitizing everything doesn't make sense for everybody. I've seen people do it 100% digital, but there's a process to get there, and you really have to make sure that you're gonna follow up with that too. I mean, to me, digital is very, you know, can be very stressful.
Interesting.
Because people don't realize that it feels so much more compact, right? Because it's all in one place, right? It's in a computer, or it's all in, but you know, it's still there. It's still that big pile, that box in your basement that you haven't tackled is now on your computer, and you can store so much more on a computer or a hard drive or the cloud that you can in a home.
Right.
And so it can really, and Jody will know, this comes to pictures. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Pictures are a huge one. People just, you know, we used to just take as many pictures as we could, and then there was the good ones. I mean, a lot of people would hold on to the crappy ones too, which they, you know, people are dealing with both now. We're in a generation where people have half, you know, physical pictures and then half digital.
Right.
You know? And then the rest of the people are all digital, and they don't even know what it's like to have to minimize like the amount of photos. They just have photos and they're all over the place, and
right.
have no idea what's going on. So it's really finding what works for you is really about trying to just improve upon what you're currently doing. So if you're currently just throwing papers on your desk, maybe you set up some labeled bins that say, you know, okay, this is what I need, you know, this is mail that I need to open. And so that you can train yourself, all right, I'm still going to throw it on my desk, but now I'm going to think, all right, this is to do, this is to pay, this is to read, or this is to file, or whatever systems make sense for you. But also not to put them in closed boxes, because then it's out of sight, out of mind. And make sure you label things. So those are the basics. But yeah, so those are the three things that I find that those are the areas where people tend to kind of fall off when they're trying to get organized. You know, you read every book and you do all these things, but you have to keep in mind that people think it's so easy for some people, but there's no shame in it. It's not easy for everybody. It's hard, you know, and we're inundated.
You have to be consistent too, right? You can't
Yes.
let it go.
Right.
Because it piles up so quick. So I have a question for you, because you said that you keep things in piles. So you're super organized. I aspire to your level of organization. And that's what I do. So what I'm doing is out. So does it keep piling up, or do you move it? How do you deal with something? It's done and it's gone, or how do you handle that?
So I have, I use these things. I showed you these at a meeting once. I use these little binder things.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
They're pocket and just slide stuff in. So I have one for personal, one for business. And I used to have one for something else. Oh, I used to be the treasurer of NAPO, so I had one for them. So I have those two things that I keep my to-do items in that are actually physical. You know, any physical paper, like if it's something, a notice for school, or it's receipts. I keep like my business stuff all, because I don't have mounds and mounds of receipts for business. Yeah. And then so mail, the way I process mail, the mail comes in, it goes on my front table. I do not practice the touch it once rule. It doesn't work for me. That's another, find solutions that work for you. Someone could say, just make sure you only touch it once, or put those little red dots on it to see how many times you're touching it. That would stress me out. Oh. So my mail goes on my front table. I have a threshold of it usually works out to be about 2 or 3 days before it piles, you know, because we don't get much mail. I've reduced all that. It goes there first. And then when I'm ready to process it, I take it down to my office and I process it. I get rid of the recycling. I shred anything that needs to be shredded. And then I put the to-dos in my little books.
Gotcha. And so then you come to work and you go right to your to-do folder.
Yep.
Is that how it works? Okay.
Yep. Yeah. Everything's right. Everything's there. And then because finding those books was huge for me, because I used to just have loose piles, and then it'd be like, all right, you know, if someone moves something, that would stress me out. But I like having these because then I can just grab them and go. They're a lot thinner than they used to be, because now that I'm working all online, everything's digitally for me. You know, I don't have stuff that I bring to and from clients and all of that. So
tell us a little bit more. How did you morph into it? You're the only one I know, online professional organizer. Tell me, how does that work?
There are others of us, but so it was probably about 6 years ago that I said, I want to create a course. So that was the idea in my head, and I just kept working and going along. And then I think it was 4 years ago, on the beginning of the year, I started doing a free Facebook, I called it an adventure. So it was like, we're going to do these tasks today. And this all kind of morphed because I had seen something that said maintenance versus progress. So when applying to any task of anything that we do, there are things that we have to do to maintain, and there are things that move us forward. So I based this program on that. I didn't realize it was going to become a program. It became a program.
Okay.
So I was like, okay. So then fast forward 2 years later, after I'd run it on Facebook free a couple times, I bought into Kajabi, created it as an actual video course, and started selling it. And then that was 2 years later. And then 2 years after that, I said, you know what? I want to cut ties with the physical organizing.
Yeah.
Because I can't, it's hard for me because of the empathy. I'm an empath. And so for me, it started to get really, really difficult working with people in person.
Gotcha.
I needed that separation, because all of their stuff carries all of the energy, and they would have the energy. And so now I can just, feed off of their energy via online. Is, you still get that, but it's not the same.
Yeah.
And I can reach more people. I love doing the courses, and I like coaching better than I like sitting on someone's floor physically helping them do, because I had eventually just started working with paperwork.
Yeah.
Which is very tedious.
Yes.
And so it just started to get, to the point where I was like, okay, it's time to just,
well, good for you.
Not getting any younger, right? So.
Well, and you can be more efficient. And also, I would imagine too, with that whole energy exchange, I feel like people might feel more likely to, and I almost said safer, and that's not really the word I meant, but maybe safer, like less apt to be judged. If if it's just you and them on the phone or on the computer or however you're doing it, the one-on-one.
Right. Yeah, it definitely is good for people who have that anxiety because a lot of people will never even make the phone call to bring an organizer in. Even though we don't judge, they feel like they're going to be judged, or
1,000%.
Or they're just, because they're just looking around and they're saying, but like this, if you're on video with me, I can't see anything behind you. You know what I mean? You could sit in a little corner and I wouldn't know. You could just tell me about it. We can just talk about it.
Yeah.
So it does really, it's very good for people who don't want somebody physically in their home, but that can also have support with them. If they can't do it all on their own, they need somebody like, either accountability or for physical reasons, they need somebody to physically help.
Accountability, I have found, is the key to everything. Everything, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And so I do the same thing. I say, this is what you're going to go do. So now, instead of me physically helping them, I'm just giving them the homework that I would have given them if I saw them in person, between sessions.
Yeah.
They're doing all of the work. So it's more cost effective for someone to do it themselves.
So brilliant. Well, our time went by really fast. I could talk about this all day. So I want to make sure that people know where to find you. Joann Krall, the Sensible Organizer. And your call to action. Let's see. You have a special offer for people who listen to this webinar, and I'll remind you of it in case you forgot what you wrote, but you can explain. You're offering 20% off of some services, or
any program, any of my courses.
Any of your programs.
Yeah, the courses, I have 3. I have the one that I spoke of that's 100% completed, has been for years. And then I have a paper and digital information, decluttering. That's pretty complete, but I'm still working on it. But people can get in at any time and start up and keep going. And then a photo organization.
Awesome. Oh, thank you very much. That's very nice of you to offer that too.
I'm going to be raising my prices, I think, after Christmas. I said in December, and I think it's going to be after Christmas because I haven't done that. And it's time.
The task. Awesome. Well, before we say goodbye, I just wanted to see if Jody had any questions or comments for us to open it up.
I'm similar to you, Joanne. I have to see it in order to make it. If I don't see the pile or see a project that I'm working on, out of sight, out of mind. So I don't get it done. So it's good to know it's okay to have piles.
Absolutely. Messy doesn't mean disorganized. I mean, I always tell people, if you want to feel good about yourself, just come to my house. You will see that it is not, everything in its place and perfect. It's just, I know where everything is and it's not cluttered, but there are piles.
Piles are okay. It's for me, it's all about the perfectionism. So I'm learning to try not to be so perfect all the time.
Imperfect action, right? That's like my new mantra, imperfect action.
Yeah.
And I see that I froze here too, but I'm being very excited. We can do it.
Yeah, but you're freezing. You're in action.
In action. You guys, it was great to spend time with you this morning. I'll be posting this later this afternoon. And once I post it, if there's something else you thought of, like we can engage online, that would be good.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Susan. Thanks, Joanne.
Thank you. Bye.